On the last episode of our homemade Formula One build, we actually made this thing run. We got the seat molded in there. It's time to add some functionality to this thing. Functionality. I went ahead and I got some Amazon shocks. These are just a generic shock that are roughly 12 inches in length. Not really adjustable, but we can build around these shocks in hopes that we can upgrade to a better shock later. We've got all of our wheel bearings and all of our braking components. So let's start throwing things on this thing. If we're lucky, the wheels and tires might show up as well. Stay tuned. First things first, rear hubs are coming off, wheel bearings are going in, snap rings, hub, then we can put the brakes on. P.S. We've got a lot going on in the background here. This is my 5.7 Hemi for my Fox body build coming up after this Fox body build. We're gonna do a budget-ish 5.7 Hemi with my G-Force transmission and a big single turbo on it, and we're gonna compete in the stick shift class, hopefully at SICK Summer. And I'm super bummed out right now because SICK Week is going on right now as I'm filming this. I wish I could be there, but Gian and I are prepping to hopefully go to SICK Summer in June. That was annoying. Always lift just using your lower back. Bearing. Made in China, so it's, you know it's good. I don't have an old bearing to use to press this one in. That might be an issue. Generally how I would do wheel bearings is I would always use the casing from the old wheel bearing to press the new wheel bearing in, but because these didn't have an old wheel bearing in them, I'm stuck trying to figure out a solution to get them pressed in now. I don't think I have a socket this big. How about a piece, this Schedule 40 piping? Our freshly piece cut a pipe. Oh, that's gonna work so good. Got a brand new snap ring here. Quality snap ring pliers, the best. Now our hub gets pressed in the middle. The only thing you have to be aware of on this time is that you want to support this side of the bearing right here on the inner race because you're going to be trying to put pressure through the inner race and you don't want it to pop out. So get a socket the same size as the inner race, put that on kind of like that. And then it's just a big game of stacking stuff. Stacking stuff and don't die. And that's why bolt-on wheel bearings are better. And now the only thing that holds this assembly together is the axle. When it goes through here and you put your axle bolt on, that actually squeezes the bearing tight. This is a torque value, roughly like 80, 100 foot-pounds, something like that. And that's what holds your wheel bearing together. Gotta do the other side. All right, now in the front and the rear, we're just gonna be running Miata factory brakes. These are good enough to stop a 3,000-pound car, so I'm assuming they're gonna be good enough to stop our rig here. They're actually probably super overkill for what we're doing, but we went with Miata knuckles, so we can just bolt on Miata brakes. Smart, and you can find this stuff relatively cheaply. I got mine on Amazon. Now don't put me down because I bought it on Amazon because I've already spent $4,000 on this episode. Yeah. I don't have caliper bolts though. I managed to find 4 lug nuts locally, which is good enough to hold the discs on from falling off. So 1 for each corner. Also, I can't remember what direction the holes in the slots go, so I'm making them go this way. Woo! Got them full-size brakes in the front, way overkill, don't even care. One thing I do want to retest though before anything else, I'm gonna pull the wheel off the lawnmower again. I'm gonna see if it fits over these brake calipers. Even though I've already ordered 15-inch wheels, let's see if 13s will fit. My hopes are not high, but a man's gotta try anyways. Oh my God, that is barely rubbing. Oh my God, it actually fits? No way. Ugh. That is disappointing because I ordered 15s for this thing. Oh my God, that actually fits. Okay, so if we go slick setup, we know we're putting 13s on this thing. Oh my God. Just look at it with this wheel on there. That is such a tease. Wow. Oh, we gotta get the rear wheel on there too. Man, these ones fit too. Just look at that. Like, ignore all the junk in the background because that's just extra projects, but like this right here, that is so cool. It is cambered out a little bit in the back because the back actually has to go up some. Man, I want these tires on. Like, I might not be as sad when we get the 15s, but the fact that these 13s fit means I have to get 4 more 13s with some radials on them. These are actually 22 inches tall, which is what I wanted to use. Everything's actually built around a 23-inch tall tire, which is actually what's coming for the 15s. But that's what these look like, and I'll show you what the other ones look like as soon as they show up. And everything like just clears the brakes. And the suspension arms, like everything's good there. Everything's good on the bottom. The track width, as it sits, it's 102 inches wheelbase this way. Roughly, I didn't do the exact numbers outside of the tire, but roughly from here to there is 29 plus 17 plus 29. 29, 29 plus 17, take away the 2, that's 15 plus 30, 30. So 75 inches wide in the rear, and it's actually 76 inches wide in the front. I don't know, is that good? Someone tell me if I have math? Very good. Well, I may have gotten a little excited, still my pajamas, but our other rims came in. So out with this one. Did I grab 2 that were the same size? I did. I grabbed 2 that were the same size. So we did stagger them. The fronts are 15 by 8s and the rears are 15 by 9. That doesn't look bad on there at all. That's actually kind of cool. Fronts are gonna get 2 25s, the rear are gonna get 2 45s. Hopefully staggered that out right. You know what? That doesn't look half bad. Just need the meat on them. Lots of clearance on the rotors. Probably could even go bigger rotors if we wanted to. Not that we need to, because these are probably overkill still. And the rears, definitely a little bit wider. I think it's gonna look pretty cool. Like I said, oh my God, those are tight. Like I said, if we do end up getting a set of slicks, they'll probably get a set of 13, so we might just have 2 sets of wheels. I'm wilding right now. I'm gonna go get some clothes on. Now, just did the calculations with our new set of wheels. The front width is actually 72.5, which is actually ½ an inch too wide for Formula 1000, but we're not being competitive in any means. And the rear is actually 70.75. So the front is like an inch and a bit bigger than the rear, which I think is supposed to be. And the control arms on the front are actually a little bit wider than the ones in the rear, because the rear is actually a little bit wider than the front is. I'm gonna finish putting the rest of the brakes on, get the wheels on it, and then maybe we'll work on the steering. I got a little carried away, started cleaning before doing any work. And you know what? Sometimes it be like that. Sometimes you gotta make sure it's clean before you can work, or else it's not enjoyable. All right, we're gonna bust out the old trusty welder here, and I'm actually gonna weld up a little bit of the frame in the middle section here just to make sure it's strong enough. And then we're gonna set it down on the floor at ride height roughly and see what we can do for suspension or steering, or I don't know what the plan is next. Now one of my favorite things to do, weigh this thing when we put it on the ground. We'll figure out what it weighs with the brakes and the wheels, no tires. I'm hoping sub 600 pounds. That's engine, wheels, brakes, diff. It's still missing a bunch of things, but if we can be sub 600 right now, we'll definitely be below 3,000 when we're finished. £606. It's getting up there, man. That's right around 800 pounds with me in it. We don't have any tires. We're still missing shocks, fluids, gas tank. It's gonna be a little bit heavier than I first anticipated. I think under 1,200 pounds would be great, like race weight. And now my favorite part. This keeps the dream going, you know? Ow, there's some pointy parts on the seat. Oh boy, this is going to be quick. Ba, 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 ba. Understeer, straight into a wall, boom, end of loop boosted lifestyle, that's it. I know a lot of people were talking about these bars being like really close to my leg. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put a plate on the inside of the chassis here and a plate on the inside of the chassis over on this side. So if by chance this bar does break, it's just gonna hit the plate instead of like go into your leg. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go around the four corners, see if I can get this thing where it kind of sits with the tires on it, roughly 23 inches tire, so half of 23 to the center point of the hub. Might not go good. All our suspension arms are roughly at ride height here. We have to add a bar in the front because I just realized that the weight of this thing by itself was spreading this apart at the top. We didn't have a bar connecting at the top there. So we're gonna make a bar crossing the top to give it a little bit more strength so it doesn't fold over on itself. I think what I wanted to play with was I have the steering rack right here and see if we can make this one work. This is the only one that I found that was like affordable. It had like a steel shaft in it and like a nice aluminum casing on it. I don't know if it's gonna have enough steering. Now that this bar is in, we're gonna try and mount the steering rack. The center of where the factory holes are for the steering rods is right along somewhere here. The bottom of the rack actually has to go downwards just so it goes the right way. So I'm thinking a piece of angle iron somewhere right here to mount the rack is gonna work perfect. All right, my biggest thing now is trying to figure out how we're going to adapt this to a heim joint so we can make a bar that goes there. And I think what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna clamshell a couple of these tabs together, not this one specifically, and make it acceptable for our 1/2-inch heim joints and just build a really beefy steering arm, unfortunately. started building the second one, but we ran into our first predicament where this bolt doesn't like truly go in there. So if I can't get a socket head one tomorrow, what I'll do is I'll just weld this in and we can use the actual bracket to tighten itself. I'm gonna build up the second one now, using this. And once we have two of them, we can kind of bolt them in place and build our arms. Both our adapter ends are in there. They just kind of fit the heim joints in like that. We've actually got to drill the outer ones out to 5/8 like these and then build our bar from there to there. And we should have, well, that's a crooked eye, but we should have steering. Here's the first one in. We might have to change the outside here, right here. I'll show you on this one. It's not exactly flat and the angle for this is basically too much. So I might have to cut that off, make that flat afterwards. But for now, just put some spacers in there and lets it move just a little bit further and that's enough. So we'll get that one in there. Also, you'll notice at full lock, that's full lock. It does not hit the suspension arms, so we will be okay there. Oh yeah, check that out. Haha, we got steering. That's cool. All right, now that we have the steering set up, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move the back bar up just a little tiny bit. I'm gonna try and get our butt moved back just a little tiny bit so this piece can drop down a little bit so this bar is not too short. No matter what I do with this bar right now, you can put a big arc in it, it's still gonna be too short. So, Gina told me, why don't I just move the seat? And she's smarter than me, so we'll listen to Gina. Slightly better. Now if I put an arc in there, I bet it'll be perfect. That might work too, actually. Let's try that. It's even lower. Oh my god, that might be even way better. Yeah, my knees aren't even close to this now. This is the position. Right here. Found it. Oh my god, I'm gonna be so fast. I'm gonna be the fastest guy I even know. All right, one more thing I wanna know, because I just kind of winged it on this. How far can we go just by basically 180 in your arms? Because you don't really wanna take your hand off and do like one of these things, or like a shuffle in your car. So how far can you get with a 180 degree turn on the wheels? What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna put a pair of vice grips basically straight up. And we're just gonna go straight down with it. Don't wanna mess with the splines either. Of course I'm gonna hit shit. So that is half your turn. So this wheel turns in more than this wheel. And I can't remember if that's positive or negative Ackerman, and I can't remember which one's better. Let's see, go back the other way. Yeah, it looks like the outer tire on the turn turns in way harder than the inner tire on the turn. And I don't know if that's good or bad or even how to fix it, to be honest. If I needed it to turn even sharper, I can move, cut off the ends and weld them closer when I do make them flat. I don't think I'm gonna need to do that. The only other obstacle we have now, push rod suspension. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. See you guys in the next one.